Hello, welcome to Tokaku Gamers match preview of Wolves against West Ham United, second bottom against fourth bottom. 1 point separates the two teams. 2 places separate the two teams, but only a win will be enough for either team to guarantee they don't finish the weekend in the bottom 3. Gonzo, kick it off as always, please. Your thoughts on Wolves?
I think done really well. I think their first season in the Premier League was sensational, wasn't it? Then they took a little dip. And I think they've sort of rallied and gone again. Obviously, you know, switch of managers, well, a couple of switches of managers actually, haven't they? So first of all, they had Nunes. Then was it Large was there, and now they've got someone else. So they're I think they're doing really well. They've got lots of these little small players, and with twisty turny, little low centre of gravity. Loads of them, like loads of Lanzinis, basically, all over the pitch, but faster and younger, if we can say that. I really like the way they knock the ball around. I saw them earlier on in the season. One of the few teams earlier on in the season I actually watched play a full game of football, and I think it was against Man City. And I was really impressed. I think City won in the end, but they looked good, you know, and they looked like they were taking the game to them, and I just think as a club, they've done really well. They sort of got this Portuguese model with George Mendes, I believe it is, heavily influential, highly influential within the club, who obviously helps facilitate bringing players in. They got lots of Portugueses in the team, and I think it's mate. I think that not would it be the model that you choose for West Ham? No, probably not. And you'd probably look at others like Brentford and all the rest of it and say, oh, that's probably the way to go. Theirs is quite unique, though. And I'll tell you what, it's working for them. I think they've done really well.
At least they've got a model. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's better. Surely it's better to have a bad model than no model.
This is true.
It's better than a scattergun approach. I quite like them. You know something? I've not really got a bad word to say against Wolves since they've come up. I quite enjoy watching them. If they're the team that's on the telly at the weekend, I think, oh, happy days. I get to see Neves knocking around the pitch, Nunes knocking around the pitch and stuff. I think they play decent football. Even under Lage, I found it boring, but at least they kept it on the deck and they were trying to do something with it. This season's no surprise to me. I thought they'd struggle a little bit. I did worry a bit for them. This is the good thing with doing videos. I think I'd had them to finish 16th or 17th, not get relegated, but certainly down the bottom. And they're just lacking that striker. I'm aware they purchased that 8-foot player that got injured in 20 minutes into his debut, which is unfortunate. You can't plan for that, and that throws everything out. And that is possibly.
Did he hit his head or something? Did he on the floodlights?
Something like that. But he did his ACL. He's out for the season, hence why they had to go get Diego Costa in as an emergency signing. But every time I watch him, I can't help but think if they get a striker, they'll be okay. You know, defensively, I think they've got some good players. Midfield, they've got some good players. In attack, they've got some decent players, like you spoke about, but they're just lacking that number 9. You know, they've got Diego Costa in, who, you know, was finished 2 years ago, kind of thing, and you can see it in the game. So I think they'll be okay. I think sacking Bruno Lage was the right thing to do. Lopetegui has come in, who we know a bit about because of what he did with Sevilla. I think the January transfer window has come at the right time for Wolves, so it allows them to clear out the dead wood. I think there is a few players there that they just need to get rid of and then bring in some new players as well. And then off the back of that, they'll start to have a bit more of a settled 11. Every time I watch them, even under Lopetegui, everything's changing. Players are changing position, they're changing formation, and it's just a little bit like he's working out what to do. But
bit like West Ham, lots of substitutions, switches of formation during the game, switch of tactics.
There's actually evidence of a transition there. You can tell he's trying to mould into his team as quickly as possible, which takes time, something unfortunately Wolves don't have. Do you have much opinion on someone else, as you called him, or Lopetegui as most?
No, I couldn't. It was I only remembered when you mentioned the fella from Sevilla, then I did remember we have had a conversation about him. No, I couldn't possibly say, but I have seen bits and pieces of him. Even recently, they were chasing a game, and they brought Adama Traore on, and he, you know, I thought he was out in the cold. I think his contract's up soon, actually, and you know, and he looks to be, you know, quite effective again, even though he's not starting. And I do like the way they're playing. From what I've seen them their recent results. I know think Forest beat them in the quarter final of the League Cup, the old Haribo Trophy.
Yeah, on pens, and their starting 11 would suggest he wasn't too arsed about that.
No, I know, but I think that the draws against Liverpool and Villa, because Villa are not the Villa from earlier on in the season. Villa are a good team now, and well, I think so. You know, I think those are good results for them. So no, look, he clearly knows what he's doing, mate. He's clearly a very good manager.
Do you think
Sevilla, to be fair, sorry, just Sevilla not doing too well now, are they? Let's be perfectly honest. So.
Yeah, but he was part of that. He was there at the start of the Yeah, he was there at the start of the season. He got dismissed in October or something. So he
could take Sevilla down and Wolves down in one season.
It's rubbish. Do you think they'll stay up though, Wolves?
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of quality players, Gio. Too many quality players. And you say that, you know, a striker, they need a prolific striker. You know, they could get that sorted out because they're going to be buying Mikel Antonio from us, aren't they?
For Wolves fans that are tuning in, what's your thoughts on Dawson and Antonio being linked to Wolves? Would you sanction the moves, or would you rather see them not join Wolves?
It's hard. It's hard. Look, you know, it's hard because you all heard rumours about Dawson and all the rest of it, and you don't want to talk about it. It's a private business, but you know, he needs to go back for family reasons. You know, it's hard to say because.
It pulls on your heartstrings, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not just a footballing decision.
It does. I think you can look at it. You can be very hard nosed. He's a footballer, earn lots of money and all the rest of it. But I think, without saying the stuff, I think if I was in his situation, you know, and he needs to get back, I probably would do. But I've always thought there was a halfway house, Gio. You know this. You know, just can you come in for training 2 days a week and maybe spend 3 days at home and. Whatever, can you keep yourself fit at home? You know, whatever. But you know, these are rich people. Buy yourself a bit of gym equipment or something. Just keep yourself at a level, and just do it like that. And just have an honest conversation. Which is, look, to be honest with you, Craig. Ideally, we're going to have Zouma and a Gerd there. But you're there as a reserve for us anyway. So you just keep your fitness up if we do need you. There has to be a way forward. He's only got 6 months left on his contract anyway, and he's going to leave on a free. I would hope money doesn't overly come into it. Would the Antonio one? I think it's hard. If Antonio is as miffed about not being our first choice striker as we think he is, then it becomes a realistic question. It really does, because there is not enough form. You gave the stats the other day when we did our Patreon thing. What was it, 4 or 5 goals in 12 months or something?
4 Premier League goals and 34 Premier League appearances.
Yeah. The stats, the data do not support him being our first choice striker. There ain't any there, right? And it's not like there's 4 or 5 goals and 20 assists, right? He is not supplying and he is not scoring. So he cannot be our first choice striker at the moment. He doesn't deserve it. With that in mind, if he wants to go and Wolves are going to bid it for him, and it allows us to bring in somebody else who might score more than 4 goals, it becomes a decision, Gio. I think so.
I'm not even sure he gets that much game time at Wolves either. They've got abundance of players in that attacking positions. I think they'll stay up. I think they're improving a lot. I think from what I've seen, like I said, I do watch a lot of Wolves. I think they've improved a bit. They need to do a lot of work in this transfer window. I think they've got too many players in that squad now that is just getting on a little bit, or it hasn't worked out. Like Semedo, I think he's just, whenever I watch him now, he's a shadow of himself, and I think age has caught up with him really quickly. It's a bit like what we're seeing with Jamie Vardy at Leicester at the minute. It's just not the same Jamie Vardy anymore. And I just want to watch Wolves. I just feel Moutinho is a bit of a hindrance, and he's always been somebody I've really liked watching, and he still had that assist the other week where it was that fantastic dink to the back post, and he's still got the talent. It's just when I see him going for 50-50, he's losing every single one at the minute. I just think age has caught up a bit, and with Neves and Nunes in there as well, and Hodge coming through, I think they've got better options, and I think they've got one weakness in their team, which I'm not going to say because I think you might praise the player, and obviously people, long-term viewers of this, know my feelings on the likes of Adama Traore. I think if they can clear out 3 or 4 players and get 3 or 4 players in of the manager's choosing, I think they'll be okay. And speaking of players, then, is there anyone you admire from Wolves you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I think. So I like Kilman, who I know you do as well. He looks like a really sort of robust.
Gone off the boil this season, I think. I think he's.
He's strong and combative, which I like. I've looked at that Nunez now, and I like him. I like him, and I know he's got similarities to other players there. I like him. Pedent scored a good goal the other day. If you saw that, that was really good, actually. I like the goalkeeper, and I think I wonder if Semedo's come. I don't watch enough of Wolves to say, but I wonder if he's going to start to come back to form now. So they signed a really good player there. He's not coming back to form now.
He's rubbish.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah, he's rubbish.
Oh, well, put him in me.
He's their weak spot. That's the spot. I think if we're going to get any success on Saturday, their right back is the one to go out. They may play Dexter, which is incredibly unlikely. So it'll likely be Semedo, possibility of Johnny, but he's another one that I think time just caught up with him. He's had some big injuries and age is catching up with him a little bit. I think his legs have just gone. And I think right back for Wolves is a problematic area. I think Kilman's
I might have to adjust that, Geo, because I put him in my Betmate team.
Yes, I know. We'll get that up in a minute. But Kilman, yeah, he's gone off the boil a little bit. I still really like him, but he'll come good again. I think Collins has been fantastic. A couple of big headers from him, but he's only 21, and a player that good in the Premier League with that much appearances under his belt, looked good at Burnley, gone to Wolves. I think he still looks really good. And the one player that I really like more than anyone at the minute this season is Ait Nouri. I think he looks tremendous, a real danger from left back. Obviously, Bueno's come through as well, looks really promising. But Ait Nouri has been pushed forward a little bit by Lopetegui. They played wing backs against Nottingham Forest. He played wing back. I was only dipping in and out the game. But with that extra bit of freedom, he looks like a right terror down that side. And it worries me a little bit if they were to push him further forward. I think he would give Soufal all sorts of problems down that left wing. So I'm hoping they pin him at left back and they don't switch to wing backs and just give him a license to get forward. I mean, the mad thing is there's every chance he starts on the bench and Bueno starts and then they have Pedent's left wing or something. And they bring him on up against a tiring defence or something. But I knew he's possibly the Wolves player, I would suggest, has been my most impressive one this season. I think Collins is up there, and obviously Nunez and Neves, like you said, are just a touch of class, aren't they? Another level. Anyway, shall we talk about your team then?
Let's talk about my team, Gio.
Right, we're going to go straight in, then we're going to explain what Betmate is and the big promotion we've got. And we've got 2 promotions, and even if you're an existing customer of Betmate, doesn't matter, you can grab one of them. We'll tell you about it in a second, but here's Gonzo's team that you're going to have to change. Sa in goal, Aguerd and Semedo at the back, Pedence and Paqueta midfield, Scamacca and Bowen up front.
The lack of a striker, as you said, Gio, and obviously we did this. I submitted this yesterday before we even recorded this video, so I was scratching my head about what to do about a Wolves striker. I mean, he doesn't. I've seen Costa play a couple of times this season. Not really up to it, which means he'll score against us, of course. Yeah, you know. So I will have to change Semedo based on your sage and wise advice, my friend.
I'm going to keep my team for Saturday because I don't have Ait Nouri in it and I need him in it, so my team's irrelevant as well. But 2 promotions. First of all, get downloaded and get signed up. You can do that by using the link in the description, but when you sign up, make sure you use the code HC10. You get £10 free credit. And this weekend, we've got a special offer. West Ham fans are going head-to-head with Wolves fans. Or should I say, Hamish Chat fans are going head-to-head with Talking Wolves fans. So whether you're an existing customer or a new customer, make sure you click Join Private League and put in the code TWHC and you'll get entered into a free league with £100 of free bets up for grabs. Sounds complicated, but don't worry. Everything is in the description and the pinned comments of this video. Step-by-step instructions on how to download it and get the £10 free credit, then how to enter the free game and potentially win some free bets. Come head-to-head with Wolves fans, but also myself, Gonzo and Charlie. The 7-a-side fantasy football game with Betmate. Get involved.
Just before you do, Joe, we need you. We need your help. We got to beat the Wolves channel, basically. This is what we got to do. So join that Wolves game. By the way, the join bit is literally on the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of your phone. That's where you put join, put the code in, submit your team, and look. Do you know what? David Moyes might not be able to get 3 points, but let's be fair. Us Hammers Chatterers can clean up the £100, can't we?
Right then, West Ham team news. Would you like to know it?
Yes.
Not much has changed, in all honesty. We had Ariola, Vanzini and Scamacca missed the previous game, but they were all light knocks, according to David Moyes, and all that are expected to return for this one. Kurt Zouma is back in training. However, Moyes has indicated this game is likely to come too soon. Or maybe he's bluffing. We might have Kurt Zouma. We'll have to wait and see. But one player we definitely won't have is Maxwell Cornet. He is possibly in France, the manager admitted he doesn't know where Cornet is. About 3 weeks ago, he got asked again during the week. He still said he's still not sure. He's not heard anything. He might have to chase it up and see what's happening with Maxwell Cornet. Gonzo, the West Ham team, for the purposes of this preview, we'll assume everybody's available, bar Cornet and Zouma, because obviously if Zuma's fit, he just goes straight in. We know that. So it'll be interesting to see what you pick, given that Craig Dawson's been heavily linked with Wolves as well. But is this team starting to pick itself?
For David Moyes, yes. Not for me. I'm picking a different team. But yeah, I think we know what David Moyes is going to do. But let's be honest. I think the Benrahma goal was, even with stubborn, resolute Moisey boy, I think it's still given him something to think about. I would hope so anyway, you know. It's gonna be interesting. What do you think? Do you think he's gonna go 3 at the back?
No, I think I think he'll go 4 at the back, but I still think Benrahma will start on the bench because Moyes just indicated that he's a really good impact sub, and I think Moyes' game plan will be keep Wolves out for an hour and then bring on Benrahma, and we'll take the shackles off a little bit and try and nick something in the last 20, 30 minutes of the game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Fanal's out on the left wing and then Benrahma starting on the bench and Benrahma coming on later on in the game and us going for it, if you like, then. Because, you know, Mikel Antonio has told us that's what the manager wants to do and likes to do, so why would he not do it, kind of thing. It's not what I want to see, but that's just what I expect on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it is. I think so. I think we have a problem with Souček there. I don't think David Moyes thinks we've got a problem with Souček. I think we've got a problem with Souček. I suspect I'm not the only one either. They've got a fast team, Geo. They got some fast, twisty, turny, speedy Gonzalez players, and we got some cart horses. Let's be fair. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how he's going to combat that. I can't imagine he's going to make people faster than they are. That'd be some good training, wouldn't it? But he's gonna have to find something tactically for that. So maybe going to sit a little bit deeper. For that reason, Joe, I think I'd really like us to play with Ben Johnson in there to, you know, little bit more pace. Not rapidly quick, Ben Johnson, but a very, very good defender. I think we'll be defending for large parts of this game.
Well, let's go through the teams that me and Gonzo would like to see then, because the team picks itself for me. I very quickly thought, oh, who do I want to see? And before I knew it, I had 9 of the 11 written down. I thought I've only got 2 players to debate here, really, and we'll get on to them. In goal?
Areola.
Agreed. Back 4 for you?
So Ben Johnson, I do think Zouma's going to be fit. That's not in the know or anything. I just think it's just a hunch. I think Moyes is playing possum. So I think we got a Kurt Zouma and a Gerd, which would be great. Look forward to seeing him. I would actually, do you know what? No, I've changed my mind. I'm going to play Soufal at right back. I'm going to play Johnson at left back.
Ooh, we've got a matching back forward there. The problem for me was the left back position, because I thought maybe Emerson, because I can't sit here and say I think Semedo is their weak link and then go, well, let's put a defensive player at left back rather than having an attacking fullback to go at him, kind of thing. But I just don't trust Emerson. I just can't trust Aaron Creswell after the Brentford game. I mean, I'm a big fan of Creswell, as you all know, but anyway, but after the way he just gave up for that Da Silva goal, it's worried me quite a lot, actually. So for that purposes, it's process of elimination. I've ended up with Ben Johnson, but I agree with the rest. If Kurt Zouma was unavailable, who would you play centre-back?
I would, under normal circumstances, play Dawson there, but
this is why I'm asking the question, Gonzo.
I don't. You know what it's like, Gio. You know what it's like. We've all worked with people in the past, and some people could just go to work and they crack on. Some people don't and can't. I don't know. I do think he can go to work and crack on. I think.
Yeah,
I think it's at the start of the season. I think it's fitness issues, you know. But if his mind is elsewhere at the moment, I think he's a professional. I really do. So I'd play Dawson because I think he's even Dawson with, you know, even though Dawson with the need to leave, let's call it that, is probably more reliable than Kehrer. But Yes, I'll probably do that.
Arguably, Dawson's playing for a move, though, isn't he? If he was to go out there and put in a man-of-match performance, he's basically saying to the Wolves manager, come and get me then. This is what you're missing. You know,
but he's also saying to David Moyes, you need to keep me if he plays well.
I think we're past that point, though. I think he's made it clear that he wishes to go. I think it's... So I would play Dawson if Zouma's unavailable as well, because I don't trust Kerr enough, and I don't want to see Bonner playing the right side of defence. And again, I'm not 100% sure he's up to Premier League standard either. Right, moving into midfield, it'd be interesting if we match up here. What you got?
Flynn Downs, Declan Rice, Lucas Paqueta.
Rice, Paqueta and Fornals for me. If you've tuned into the last few previews, I apologise because I've said this attacking 6, midfield 3 and attacking 3. I've said this for the last few weeks. But the more I see it, the more I'm convinced this is what we need to do. You know, the Paqueta and Rice partnership's looking really good. I think Fornals has played really well, although he was out on the left. So I'm even more adamant that this is the 3 I want to see. Sure. And I think that 3, and to be fair, I include Downs in that 4 players between them will be good at keeping possession, moving the ball quickly, putting in a shift, breaking up that Wolves team, because there's going to be a big battle in there. But I do think Núñez and Neves are 2 top players. But like I said, I think Moutinho will start, and I'm not sure he's up to it to some extent. So I think we've got an opportunity to win the battle in the middle of the pitch, actually. Your front 3, I assume, is Bowen, Scamacca, and Benrahma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, must be done. Must be done there. It's just the wrong thing. Well, it's like if he gets the win, it's not the wrong thing to do, but to tweak that around and to put in Souček and drop Benrahma, which is inherently what we're talking about, and then, you know, play Fornals on the left. And we've got to offer some attack. It's too static, Geo. You know, it's just too static. Souček is too slow. Fornals is too slow. You have to offer some form of threat. And I mean, you've highlighted Semedo there. You've obviously watched more of them than I have. Semedo would much rather play against Pablo Fornals than he would against Said Benrahma. So Moyes isn't good at this. We know this, and consistently, but we take it back to when Trent Alexander-Arnold was struggling, really struggling, at the worst point Liverpool were at this season.
And the media was battering him.
Yeah, and he still didn't go for it. Yet at the point where he did make the substitution late in the game, we got joy against him. And it was obvious. It was publicly right. Media bashed him, so it was public knowledge that Liverpool were weak there. And he still went, oh, hold on a second. Got to be careful. So I'm unconvinced that Moyes' capacity to highlight and put into place a plan of action to deal with weak points in the opposition team.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong about Semedo. This is just a Gobby Scotsman on the webcam's opinion, but I'm convinced that... I said when I did the opposition prediction on Patreon, I said even if a Wolves fan sat in front of me and said you're wrong, that is not a week. I don't think I'd change my mind. I'm that convinced that is the place to go, kind of thing. Because like I said, I like the other 3 a lot. Kilman, Collins, and Ait Nouri, or even Bowen. I like them 3 a lot. I just think Semedo, I just think he's just not good. That's their weak spot. Get at it, kind of thing. If hypothetically you were offered 4 points for the Wolves and Everton game, would you take it?
Yes.
Would you?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't. I want 6. I don't think 4 is enough.
Someone posted one of the comments section, if we lost to Wolves and Everton, how many points we would be required. Basically, he charted out the form for the remainder of the season to get 40 points, and it was a shocker, right? It was a shocker. Sorry, I've forgotten who wrote the comment, by the way. Joe, look, yesterday on our Patreon channel, I spoke to Anton Ferdinand on the Anton Ferdinand podcast, exclusive to Patreon. Link is in the description below. He's a regular. Basically, Anton is with us all the time now, and he's great. You know, he's getting the more podcasts we do, Gio's getting more and more into the flow of things. And he was talking about, actually really interesting, talking about what it was like as a player to play against the David Moyes team. And he was saying, oh, you know, they were hard and they were mean. And he was saying creative down one side, you know, so you'd have sort of Baines and Pienaar down one side, but down the other side, they'd lock it down, Hibbert and Osman. And so, you know, and the way he was talking about Everton and playing against them, And I think we've still got that. We're sort of, you know, we try and lock it down more on one side and sort of create a little bit more down the other. Although you might argue we're not even doing that at the moment. But he was talking about the meanness, the amount of you always came off the pitch knackered. They always ran more. It's a well, I say it's a great interview. It sounds a bit I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Anton. I think it's a really, you know, it's really interesting the way he talks about it, Geo. And I couldn't help but think we've moved away from this. I don't think we are mean. I don't think we are doing the running. I don't think teams are coming away and thinking, "Oh, that was a tough game against West Ham." He's going to need to do that, Geo, on Saturday. He really is, because he does not have the luxury. You ask about the 4 points. He doesn't have the luxury anymore. I'm convinced of it, and I know I've been for a while. He cannot. I think he get 4 points. He keeps his job. I really do.
He can. The worst thing is, Gonzo, he can get 2 points and keep his job because it means we haven't been beaten.
No,
honestly, I promise you. You chat about if we draw against Wolves, will he get the sack?
No.
Right, so that's him here for the Everton game. If we draw against Everton, do you think he gets a sack?
Yes, I do, because I think we'll still be in the bottom three.
I don't think. We could be in the bottom three after a draw against Wolves. If who is it? A sandwich between us and Wolves at the minute? Is it Bournemouth? It's Southampton's bottom, so I think it's Bournemouth. If Bournemouth get a result and we only draw, we could get put into the bottom three. Yeah. Anyway, so
well, I think we will.
Well, you ruined my next question, haven't you? But I think we need 6 points. I think we need 6. We do. We have to. I get why 4 would be okay, and I think Moyes would take 4, providing it was a draw this one and win against Everton, because you're just keeping Wolves down there. And there's more pressure on Wolves coming into this game. They're the team at home. They're the team below us in the league. There's more pressure on them to win this than there is West Ham. However, there's no pressure on Lopetegui, whereas there's plenty on David Moyes at the minute. So the scenarios are slightly different. But I want 6 points. It has to be 6 points for these 2 games. 4 is good enough, possibly, to keep us moving in the right direction. Anything less, though, is just kicking the can down the road at best. And we're just running out of games, or we're running out of winnable fixtures. The only good thing is what looked like 3 really difficult fixtures after the Everton game, which is Newcastle, Tottenham and Chelsea, perhaps not in that order. 2 of them have just become a little bit more winnable in the Spurs and Chelsea fixtures. But that requires a mentality change from David Moyes in order to go and win those games. That's the problem. So these 2 are, these are important. We need 6 points here. Are you confident that we're going to get 3 on Saturday?
No, I think they're too fast and too skillful. But I do think Zouma holds the key to this.
Yeah, I agree with that. My confidence would increase a bit if Zouma was starting.
I think we could, if Zouma comes back and Paqueta has a good game, I think we can win. But those are 2 really big ifs. And I think there's a chance that there's enough of the team who won't play well that Zouma doesn't come back because of their plight in terms of them trying to find a goal scorer. Zouma and Agurda would be a hard task for them to get through. We do create a good barrier in front of the defence as well, and so then the question becomes: can we nick a goal? I'm not convinced that we even can do that at the moment. I think our defence is porous, and I think our attack is poor, and so no, I'm not confident, but it can be done.
I'm optimistic, actually. I'm optimistic. I think I'm glad we're playing Wolves now, because, like I said, I think they're improving, but I don't think he's worked out his best 11 yet, Lopetegui. You know, Cunha's still to come into the team. He might start against us. Hopefully he doesn't, because at the end of the day, it's a £50 million, well, it's a €50 million player, £44 million or whatever they're going to be paying for him in the summer. And he's a top talent. So they've got possibly the answer to their striker problems is already at the club.
Sure.
It's just that he's getting eased in. And I'd rather play them now while he's not quite that starting position. It might be Jimenez, I thought looked quite good against Forest. It might be Diego Costa, whatever. He might put Hwang up there. He might do something. He might not yet go to Cunha yet, which is good. And I just think this is the good a time as you're going to get to play Wolves. They've had a midweek fixture. We haven't. Granted, there was heavy rotation. You know, Collins didn't play a minute. Neves came off the bench. There was a lot of players rested, but they've still had there's still players that played on those games that will be playing against us. Nunez played, Semedo played. They've had a midweek game. We've had a week on the training ground. The manager used to moan about how little time he's had on the training ground. Well, there's almost no excuses here because advantage David Moyes, because you've had that week, they haven't. I'm just hoping that win against Brentford. Now, when we won, I wasn't happy with the performance. I don't feel like we deserved to win. It wasn't a great performance. We barely created anything in open play. It's not like watching Southampton beat Man City 2-0. You're thinking, oh, flipping hell, this is going to give them a confidence boost. But hopefully our win is just giving us a little lift, a little bit of something. I'm just hoping that Benrahma getting the winner just forces Moyes' hand a little bit, which is, sorry, mate, you can't put me on the bench. You've got to start me. So that means you've got to drop Fornals or Souček. You've got to drop one of them. Who are you dropping to put me in? And I just hope that forces the manager's hand to make the right decision. If he gets a starting 11 right and Kurt Zouma's playing, I would fancy us to win, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not confident he's going to get the starting 11 right. And I'm not that confident Zouma's going to be fit either. So that just knocks me down a few levels. Can I get your final words and score prediction, please, Gonzo?
I think on this one, the score prediction will be 1-1. I think what is really important for Moyes is to, if what you say is true, that he keeps his job irrespective, then you have to say that is a terrible environment, a low in which to work, in which to operate, a ridiculous comfort blanket with no ambition, with no expectation, with no demand that things improve. And because of that, it gives Moyes no urgency. So I hope he's not feeling that assured sort of comfort. I really hope that's not the case. I hope he's feeling that his job is under risk. I hope he's feeling that some urgency is required. And I don't want him to think that he can do this same bland stuff that's got him absolutely into the position that he's in now, which is in trouble, and he's got the club in trouble. Now, people will argue that exactly that same stuff got us into a really good position 18 months ago. I'll tell you what, they were old players there. They're now 18 months older. And if you concede that there comes a point where players get old and they find it hard to compete, and we've already discussed a few of them at different clubs in this video, then you probably concede that might impact those same tactics. He needs to switch something up. He needs to try and freshen up that team as much as he can, because he is dealing with more or less a young, vibrant team here. I know you said about Moutinho and whatnot, but more or less a buzzy, real vibrant team. If he does that and he shows some ambition and he shows some urgency and some recognition that his job is under threat, we might see something here. But I do worry that he goes in complacent and blasé, and we get the same as before. And if he goes in the same as before, we may well find that we get the same results that we've been seeing recently.
I'm nervous for this one, actually. I'm nervous for the lineups coming out from both teams. I'm nervous for the way the game going. I've got this sense of dread that if we don't win, it's going to feel doom and gloom, because it will be doom and gloom. We'll be in the bottom, possibly be in the bottom three. If we lose, we will be in the bottom three. And that's going to be a very difficult position to be in, because as crap as it's been this season, we've not been in the bottom three yet. We've just been lingering above it. So this could be the season we get kicked into there in the back pages on Monday morning, have West Ham firmly in there with Southampton and Bournemouth or Everton, possibly. Whoever it is in there with us. And this is where the conversation has to change, which is, well, you're now in the bottom three. You're halfway through the season now. You're in the bottom three. What are you going to do about it? I think if we get beat, in regards to David Moyes' future, we get beat, I think there's maybe a small possibility he loses his job. But if we avoid defeat, regardless of how well or how poorly we play, I think he'll be here for the Everton one. And I am genuinely worried. I keep saying it. A draw is dangerous. Leeds, a draw was dangerous, and we drew that game, and it remains dangerous. A draw on Saturday, I don't think it's as bad. But a point against Wolves and followed by a point against Everton would be two horrific results. And I think that's dangerous, because I think it will be enough to keep him in the job, because Moyes will turn around and say, well, we've played 4 games in 2023 and we haven't got beat. You know, you can look at it that way, but you can also look at it in the sense, yeah, but you've got 3 points. Yeah, you're through in the FA Cup, but you've still only got 3 points from 3 Premier League games, and it's against 3 teams around us in the league table. And I just think it's dangerous, because, like I said, I think he would be here for the following game after Everton. And before you know it, we're running out of time with the transfer window. And then you've got to then go get the players Moyes wants, because essentially, even if you were to sack him after Everton, there's no time to go get somebody in and let him start picking who to go after. We're running out of time, not just the league table, but the January transfer window too. There's 2 tickers going on here, or there's 3. One of them's my heart, and it's not bloody good.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to say 1-1 as well, Gonzo. Just gut feeling more than anything. I don't have the confidence that the team's going to, even if he does pick the right 11, though. The creativity has been rubbish. We beat Brentford and we got 2 goals against Leeds, but out of those 3 goals we scored, 2 have been individual efforts and one's been a penalty. We're creating very, very little from open play. I can only recall 1 big chance off the top of my head, and that was for Souček against Brentford, which he put past the post. Apart from that, I don't recall any out-and-out chances for any of the players, and that's a concern. Even Brentford, the league game, were unlucky. But what was that? That was a Declan Rice effort from outside the box that hit the post and a set piece from Dawson. That was it. There was still nothing created in open play. This is a huge concern. This needs to be rectified in the transfer window. Will it be rectified in time for Saturday? No. Will the players that we've got start producing? I don't think so. But to win this game, I think we're going to have to keep a clean sheet, because I don't see us scoring more than 1. So I'll say Wolves 1, West Ham 1. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to Hammer's Chat. If you fancy getting involved with Betmate, all the details are in the description and the pinned comments as well. That's enough for myself and Gonzo. We'll catch you in a bit.